Hit go. Well, welcome to our Friday partner call. Excited to be back with you. I was on last week, but Ben ran that show. But I'm thrilled to be back and running things this morning with everyone, seeing everyone's faces and getting to chat with you a little bit this morning over the next hour. We're going to begin on Friday here on May 27th. Like we begin every single Friday, and we're going to talk about gratitude, and we're going to talk about our values, and we're going to get grounded here for just a minute. Go ahead and raise your hand. Who would love to share some gratitude for someone in our world, something in your world, or really just what are you grateful for this morning? Raise your hand and I'll be able to call on you. Banning, I can't see you, but I can see your hand.
Sorry, having some technical difficulties over here.
There you go.
There we go. I wanted to give a shout out to Heather for everything she's doing running the network agents, just really helping us systematize our businesses, helping me find value that I didn't even know existed in the place world. And it's like she knows kind of what we need before we know. And if we say it, if we give her anything, it's like handled before I can finish sending the next text, thanking her. Like, it's crazy. So just want to give a big shout out to her for being so on top of everything and making our lives so much easier.
Yeah, she is an incredible ops director, and she's an incredible mom, new mom, by the way, as well. So thrilled to have Heather in our world. Jordan and then Tyson.
I wanted to shout out Holly Priestner and Kristen Williams. We've been hosting a women in real estate event here in Lubbock the last couple of months, and doing like some self-defense classes and things like that, and bringing in some speakers, and both of them gave up a good 30 minutes to come in and speak to the group of women that we have at that event every month, and just really appreciate their insight and them being willing to share with that group.
Awesome, love it. I volunteer Ben as a self-defense speaker. If you need him, just let me know. Tyson. Might be the wrong audience, Jordan, but go ahead, Tyson.
I wanted to give a shout out to the whole Place organization. I'm fairly new to Place. We're actually not even official yet. We just signed papers like a month ago, and so we're about 95% there. But since coming into the Place world, you guys, the team has helped us, with direction and systems and tools. We've already brought on a licensed showing assistant, 2 brand new agents. One has already ratified a contract and working with 3 other buyers, fully onboarded. So we're excited and just very grateful for the Place organization.
Yeah, we're grateful to you to make the commitment to bring that value to each of your partners locally, Tyson. So your agents are in for a treat, and we'll continue to make their world better and better. So thanks for being here, Tyson. Pedro.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I just want to give gratitude for our team as a whole. Our team members are stepping up to the plate and embracing lead generation at a higher level, converting at a higher level through the converter class. Our VA, Ivana, put together a class on personality traits that she's studying on her end and share with the group. So everybody's stepping up and bringing value within our organization, and hopefully with everybody else as well.
Love it, love it. We're gonna get 4 more, the 4 people that have their hands up. We're gonna go Amy, St. Pierre, Todd, then Amy, and then Heidi. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, thanks. I wanted to give gratitude to Ann Kennedy and Katie Benson. I am so grateful for powerful people in our corner when somebody starts talking to us about Place and my value prop isn't the same as what they can share. I'm so grateful to have people that I can go to when I'm freaking out saying, please help me. I have somebody that wants to join and I can't answer all their fantastic questions. And they just settle my mind, and I'm so grateful for them.
Awesome. I love that. That's what good partners do, by the way, Amy. Love it. Todd.
Yeah, just wanted to give a bit of gratitude to Jolene Snell. I took the Mindset New Journaling class yesterday, and you hear a lot of people talk about journaling and the effects of it and the positive aspects and results that come from it. But she really broke it down and gave us an actual quick system of doing so that really kind of made it easier to sit down and do on a daily basis. So she did a great job of teaching the class and kind of gave me some perspective around that. So grateful for her for sure.
Yeah, love that. If you are a place agent and missed that, it is now on. Whoa, it is- Trying to dance here, hold on. But you don't want to see me dance. But if you missed that, it is on our toolkit, right on the front page of our toolkit. You'll find our training calendar. And the minute, not the minute, 10 minutes, 15 minutes after each one of those sessions, and usually it gets posted. And it says that you can watch that recording. So that is already up to watch that journaling session that Jolene ran. Awesome session, by the way. Watch it this weekend if you have a moment. Amy.
My gratitude is for Kyle Shores and the Brevity team. They've got all of our huge database on the reports. And so we're blowing up with people on our in Brevity looking at them. And every time I talk to Kyle, he's so like passionate about it. And he's meeting with our team to talk to them about how to talk to these people. And he's like, if you guys aren't going to call them, I will. So I appreciate his passion and getting all of those people from our database that haven't been talked to in a while, getting us excited about it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing Kyle up. I think, right, we have so many unsung heroes, so we should sing them. But Kyle's just amazing at what he does and his understanding of honestly how to create business, right, within this business. So he actually helped quite a bit with our presentation today about opens and making sure that we were all set to make sure the tech was working for us to be more consistent and successful in our open houses. So Kyle's just a total win for all of us, whether we realize it or not. So thank you for sharing that. And last piece of gratitude, Heidi. Oh, you're muted, Heidi. It's always a little bit more difficult on the phone. There you go.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm in the car. I apologize for the sunglasses. I too wanted to throw out gratitude to the Place organization. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Andrew Pykoff, who's down in Pearland, Texas, who joined Place about a year ago. And I've watched his journey, and he totally inspired me to look into Place. And I was inspired by what he's done within the organization. And once I'm early too, I'm launching in June. But ever since I signed the contract, I've had the Place organization on top of everything. I mean, the things that show up, the marketing team that puts everything together, that gets everything over there, all business cards, directionals, this, that, the Brevity team that's helping me get all of my contacts imported. I'm in 2 markets, so it's a little complicated, and they're handling that like so well. Shout out to Heather and to Brady Pittman, who's just you know, a fireball and just so good at what she does. But you guys are just so buttoned up and so together. It's awesome. I mean, it's just totally awesome, and I'm thrilled. I really am. So thank you to all you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Heidi. I've not heard us referred to as buttoned up, especially Benjamin. But I'll take it and run with it. Awesome. All right, we're gonna talk about our values here for just a moment. Every single week, we look for demonstrations of our values, and I hope that each of us do that. Look across the organization and look to see where any number of our values are demonstrated. It keeps us as a values grounded organization. It's incredibly important as we begin to grow and scale and get bigger that we stay focused on these values and we demonstrate them and we live them. Our values are built on the value of growth. Being growth minded, whether that's in business, whether that's personally, right? We all have areas of growth in our life, and each one of those letters, they stand for another value: grit, results, only leaders, wealth, teamwork, and humility. Where did you see any number or any one of those demonstrated this week? And let's start with you.
Thanks. So right back at you, Amy St. Pierre and Tyson Bradley and Karen Smythe. You 3 all really represent the overall growth value of Place. You've given us some terrific referrals and we really appreciate them. Great people where you've already talked to them, given them, as you were saying, that initial introduction and then letting us step in and take over. So thank you to all 3 of you.
Awesome. Love that, Anne. Thanks for sharing. MGN. I'm not sure who has their hand up.
That would be me. This is Ashley with the McLeod Group Network here in Salem, Oregon. I just really wanted to recognize teamwork. Our team has really got a whole lot of different things going on with new team members coming in, and we're doing our door knocking in the afternoons, and we have communication with one another. It's just the teamwork is flowing really well. And I just am really happy with all of that. We're helping new agents, and then Amy, of course, as well, is continuing to encourage us every day, keeping in the know with the news and everything. So just really happy with the teamwork we have going.
Awesome, love that. Amy's a win for sure. I got to chat with her a couple times this week. Delby, Katie, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, thank you. Some of you saw in our Happy Place, the two guys, they've been working in tandem, two new agents, they're starting their 4th week of launch, or just completed their 4th week of launch, Fabian Alvarez and Andrew Leal. Both of them completed their 1,000-day dial. They had been previewing properties together, working together, grit, teamwork, leadership, humility. Chris, together they set 12 appointments. Each one of them had a listing appointment that same day. They both went on at 6 p.m. after their 1,000-day dial. Both of them were on listing appointments yesterday, and I'm going on another one today with Fabian, and Andrew has another one. These guys, and I think we've already gotten buyer reps assigned and listing agreements signed. Like, our model works, and these guys are out there killing it. So you want to watch these guys, give them a shout out. And if you don't believe, like, just follow the model. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it together. So it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Love it. Love that, Delby. Thank you for that. And Katie.
Thanks, Chris. For the value of giving, just in the last week, Barb Dopp, Amanda Pullman, Liz Johnson, Amy Papalardo, Marion Sickle, Jeanette Spinelli, Brandon Ramirez, all of them gave of their time and were willing to talk with people who were really exploring place as a partnership. So I wanted to recognize them for that value. And then also Mr. Jay White and Adelina Rotar sent some incredible people to our organization to explore. And so I'm full of gratitude, but also that is our overarching value of growth. So thanks, you guys.
Love that, Katie. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. All right, guys, we're going to jump in. Before we dive into the next part of our lead gen wheel and our model being open houses, I wanted to have a quick conversation about expectations. When you hear that word, what do you think of? How would you define expectations? What does it mean to you? Who wants to share? Go ahead and raise your hand. Well, Katie, your hand is up, and I know you know this.
Just what you expect to happen, how you expect things to go.
Yeah. Someone says what you assume will happen. My side of the agreement, like minimum standard, right? Results from a plan, clarity, all those things sort of combine to form what we would say is what our expectation is. And here's what I want us to think about as we go into our conversation today. If you don't know what you expect, I promise you, you will never find it. Too often we get focused on activity without expectation. Fair? Like, we jump in and we say, well, I was told to do this, so I'm going to do this. And by the way, I commend you for doing that, right? Like, being willing to do that work. However, work without expectation is waste. Let me give you an example. I heard this recently and I thought it was perfect. Remember back in the day when we were in school and we were told to read a passage, right? We're like, okay, read paragraph 1 through 3. And we read paragraph 1 through 3. The class got quiet. Well, some of you read it. No, I'm sure you didn't. But you read those few paragraphs and then you look back up when you're done. And then what does the teacher say? The teacher asks a question about those 3 paragraphs. Then what do? You immediately look back down and start rereading those 3 paragraphs, right? Because you didn't read the paragraphs looking for that answer to that question. You just read the paragraphs. Think about that. That's every single one of us. We read through it, we get the question, and then we go back and reread it again, looking for the answer. Well, every activity that we do can be just like that if we don't enter the activity with the expectation of what we're looking for. I want us to enter an open house with an expectation of what we're looking for and what's going to happen. I want you to enter your sphere calls with an expectation of what you're looking for and what's going to happen. I want you to enter your lead generation for prospecting with an expectation of what you're looking for and what's going to happen. Don't just read through the paragraphs. We have to ask questions in advance around what we're looking for. Our job is to ask ourselves questions as to what we're looking for so it sets our expectation correctly. So with that said, now I want to walk us through the open house model. So let me share my screen. Let's see if this is going to work for me this morning. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it a little bit different. We're going to walk through this second model, or the second part of our open house or our lead gen lever, which is open houses. So I love it when technology doesn't like me to share. Shouldn't they know that's what we do every week is share? All right. Here we go. Let me do it a little bit different since it's being problematic. I'm going to share a portion of my screen, which is going to get, it's a good thing I don't have weird stuff on my screen, guys. Here we go. All right, bear with me. There we go. We'll do it this way. Cool. Can you see that? All right. So opening the door to a big business. Now, I'm not going to go through a long history and background, but what I'll share with you, as many of you know, 23 years ago, I started my business with this lead generation lever doing open houses. And interestingly enough, 23 years later, I still run our business on the fuel of open houses. Last week, we talked about in general, in fact, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about in general, this lead generation model, right? The first half, that left half, if you're an agent, right, which all of us are, is our obligation. We show up and we make commitments to our sphere, to our open houses, and to prospecting. And the teams that we're all part of, they make commitments. That's what partnership is. They make commitments to drive business through the internet, drive business through their leads from the listings that the team generates, and drive leads from their database and their sphere, and from marketing, from all other sources as well. But today, specifically, we're going to talk about this one, lead generating through open houses. Now, we're going to set some expectations, and I'm going to ask all of us to do a little bit of math. And if you argue with this math, right, if you don't agree with it, I want you to tell me, right? I want us to all get good with some math real quick. Here's some statistics. 2 out of 3 buyers hire the first agent they meet. Think about that just for a second. 2 out of every 3 buyers, they hire the first agent that they meet. Okay, fair, right? That we can't argue with that. That's an NAR statistic. Like 2 out of 3, first agent, yeah, I'll work with you. Show me houses, let's buy one. Second statistic, 80% of all open house guests are unrepresented. Now you're thinking, oh, I don't know, Chris, like that's not what they tell me. You're right, that's what they tell you. But 80% of open house guests are unrepresented. Fair? You're not asking the right questions after they tell you they have an agent, but they don't. It's like when you go into Nordstrom or Marshalls or wherever you go, like, and they say, hey, do you need some help? And you're like, no, I'm good. You're not good. You have no idea what you're looking for. You need their help and you just don't want to talk to them. It's the same thing. 80% of open house guests are unrepresented, which means what? 53% of every single person that opens up the door and walks into your open house will hire the first agent they meet and are unrepresented. What are you doing, right? 53%, that's statistics, that's math. 53% of every single person that walks through that open house door are unrepresented and will hire the first agent they meet. That's you, by the way. Okay, so that's my expectation going into the open house. Anyone want to argue that? Anyone have anything to say about that? Or should we just continue? We're just going to continue. Great. Next, here's my expectations, right? These are mine. If I go out and do an open house, right, these are my expectations. Every single open house I do, I have an expectation that I'm going to get 2 nurtures. Now, that doesn't mean that only 2 people are going to come. Like, the reality is 10 people might come, 15 people might come, 20 people might come, 30 people might come. I don't care how many people come, truly. My expectation is that of everybody that comes, I'm going to find 2 nurtures. What does that mean? I've had a conversation with them. I'm going to nurture them. They know I'm going to nurture them. I've developed some sort of rapport with them. 2, that's it, 2. Out of the 10, 15, 20, 30 people that might walk through, I just want you to say, did I get 2 nurtures? Why? Because statistics, and I mean like 20 years of statistics, guys, we've been tracking this. Statistics say that for every 2 nurtures, 1 of them will set an appointment. Now, I know you leave thinking that both of them will set an appointment, but one of them is going to ignore you. One of them will blow you off. One of them just thought you looked good or were friendly. But the other one will set an appointment with you. Fair? 2 nurtures, 1 appointment. The third piece of math I'm going to give you, and this is proven, these are statistics. You will sign 1 agreement from every 2 appointments. Now, I'm just talking open house leads, right? 2 nurtures show up from that open. 1 appointment shows up from those 2. It's going to take you 2 appointments to get 1 agreement. Now, what is an agreement? It means it's a buyer saying, yes, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to sign a loyalty agreement. Or it's a seller, because we get seller leads that opens. It's a seller saying, yes, I'll list my house with you. 2 appointments, right? 1 agreement. 1 of those will close. From every 2 agreements you get, you will get 1 closing. So let's wrap up this math, and I'm going to do the math for you here. 8 nurtures equals 1 closing in your open house world. That's your expectation. Are you ahead of that? Congratulations, you're better than I am. Are you behind that? That's okay. We're working towards it, and we're going to get better beginning today. Fair? But 8 nurtures will lead to 1 closing. So every open house I do, my goal is to do what? Get 2 nurtures, which also means if we're not dumbing this down, but if we're, that's a terrible expression. If we're simplifying it even further, 4 open houses equals 1 closing. Okay, so I get it. You did an open house. You didn't get a closing. That's okay. I expect that. You did 2 and you didn't get a closing. That's okay. I expect that. You did 3 and you didn't get a closing. That's okay. I expect that too. You did 4 and you didn't get a closing. Let's talk, right? Let's now talk about skill. Let's now coach up. Let's now go back to this training. But this is math. You can build a business plan around that. So let's do that. Let's build a business plan around it. Welcome to the business plan of the open house lever. Now, here's the reality. Like, this is just one of the things you do. But when I was starting out my business, when I was building my business, I said, well, I can only get good at one thing. So I'm going to do one thing. And I just looked at how much money or income I wanted to make. And that's net, by the way. That's after splits, right? That's after cost of splits. That's about 50% of all GCI. If you wanted a net and take home $150,000, well, now let's work backwards. Let's assume your average sales price in your market is 350, and I get it. Some of you are $1 million and some of you are 170. So work out the math in your own world, that's fine. But if your average sales price is 350, and I have to pick the country for us today, if your average sales price is 350, then you need to do 10 million in volume to get to 150 in profit, net profit, which means you need to sell 28 houses. Fair? Well, let's just say you did one thing to sell those houses. It takes how many? 224 nurtures. Why do we know that? Because we've tracked it for 20 years. 8 nurtures equals 1 closing, which means you need 224 nurtures, which means you're going to add 2 people to your database every open house, right? We've already committed to that, which means you need to do 112 open houses. Gosh, Chris, that sounds like a lot. It's 2 a week. Guess what? That sounds like a standard. It's not a lot. We tell ourselves it's a lot, but you're right, Malia. It's simple math. Who here can do 2 open houses a week? I can, but I mean, I got a schedule, right? But I can, I promise you, I can. If I can, anybody can. And I don't know about you, but I'm willing to do 2 of anything for 150,000. Now, what if you did 4 a week? You're on your way to a 300,000 net income. I'm not kidding you. If you do 4 a week according to our plan and you don't make that kind of money, come, I'll fly out and we'll spend a day together. I mean that. Like this is simple math. It's clear. So now let's unpackage what are the things we need to do in order to win. Now you don't just show up and say, Chris, I did an open house. I didn't get my $150,000. We're going to walk through the open house model such that there's no questions about what we need to do. Remember, what is our expectation? Our expectation is that you're building your database. Our expectations every time we go out there, on average, we're going to bring home 2 nurtures. Now, I bet you'll get 10 leads. Leads are different than nurtures, though. I'm okay with that. And we're not even talking about what happens to the other leads over time. That's just bonus. That's just a win. That's just a win by being part of our world and our system, that Brivity will do some work for you. But I want you to focus on 2 nurtures every single open and begin to build your database. Fair? So we're going to break this down into a few keys. Bear with me. The first one is preparation. We are going to prepare for the open house. And as you're taking notes and as you make commitments to yourself and the person sitting to your right or to your left or your friends that you see on the screen because you didn't come into the office this morning for some reason, I want you to make a commitment to yourself and those around you that you're going to do the preparation. I want you to think. Before you go out and say, okay, if my job, if my goal is to get people in my database, then I want to make sure that I'm selecting an open house that is going to drive people into it. There's lots of ways to get people into that open house. It could be a specific neighborhood. It could be looking for open houses on traffic patterns. It could be targeting specific days and times. Don't get hung up on a Saturday or Sunday. I promise you, I've had massive success doing them on Wednesday morning and Thursday afternoon and Friday evening. I would pick open houses in front of schools and I would do it in the morning during drop-off time or pickup time. I would do open houses in the middle of the day during lunch hour, and I'd find out like where are there a lot of employers and where are people leaving that big office building to go to lunch, and can I get my sign in the middle of that traffic pattern? Like, it doesn't matter what day or time, it just means we need to prepare and be strategic. So when someone says, well, there just are not a lot of open houses available on Saturday, I guarantee you, you're the only one doing it on Wednesday afternoon. I guarantee you, you're the only one doing it on Thursday or Friday evening. I guarantee you, you see what I mean? There is always an open house available. Just be strategic about it. And here's the deal. Some people say, gosh, but how many people are going to walk through? I don't know. How many people are walking to your 4th floor office tomorrow? Nobody. So at least put yourself in the path of potential traffic at that open house and make that your office for 2 hours on Wednesday morning, Thursday afternoon, Monday evening. I don't care what day and time. Just be strategic about it. Prepare. Fair? Now, here comes the fun part. We have made this easy. When we said, gosh, what can we do to make it easier to drive traffic into our database from our open house? We looked at Brivity and we said, fix this problem. And guess what they said? We can do that for you. And so they did. So I'm going to, we'll drop up, actually. Let me do 2 things at once. I'm going to drop a quick link in here. You can copy it later. That's just the instructions on how to generate a QR code for all of you who are QR code challenged. That's okay. Easy instructions there to follow for the next 3 steps. These are the 3 things that I say you should do to prepare for your open house. 1, create an open house registration. They're either going to fill it out themselves or you're going to fill it out for them as you ask questions when they walk through your door. But it's easy to do. The minute you generate that QR code based on the house that you're doing, the open house at, you will be able to then, right, have a quick QR code that they can link it to their phone, or you link it on yours and you set up a either simple or a light registration. It's just going to ask their full name, their email address, and their phone number, right? In order for them to get a flyer for the home, in order for them to get a link to that property, in order for them to get some item of value from you, or you can have a full registration. Quite honestly, I don't care which one you do, because if you do the light one and all you get is their email address and phone number, you're winning. If you do the full one and now you're collecting, do they work with an agent? What are they looking for? What do they like? Awesome, but you can figure that out with a good conversation anyway. So either set up a light registration or a full registration. You're going to use that because that will automatically populate into your Brivity account. How easy is that? It's pretty awesome. Second thing you're going to do is set up that digital flyer. So one, you have a QR code for registration. Two, you have a QR code for information about the property. I love this for two reasons. One, because no one wants to pick up flyers. Two, because I want to save you 16 cents every time you hand it out a flyer. So we're saving money and generating interaction with a buyer. Fair? Like, listen, if I had this 23 years ago when I would tell people that I wanted to save trees, but that was only because I didn't have the 16 cents, like this would have saved me a lot of heartache. And the third thing I want you to do is get really, really good creating open house market reports. The reality is you should have a market report on demand ready around every single open house you do. Right? Pick that address, set up the market report, create a QR code around that URL. It's an item of value. See, if you haven't done these three things before you go out to the open house, you just haven't prepared well. Why? Because you will use any one of those three things to get what? You're going to trade value for value. I'm going to trade you a flyer. I'm going to trade you a market report. I'm going to trade you something that you want. Whether you think you want it or not, I'm going to trade you something you want for your name, email address, and phone number. And we're going to talk about how to get that in a minute. Okay, you've prepared and now you're showing up, which means you're there to prospect. You are not there to open the door. You're not there to sit for 2 hours. You're not there to wish you were at a baseball game instead of the open house. You are there to prospect because we came with an expectation. Open house starts in 5 minutes. Which means I am here to take names, right? I am here to find my 2 nurtures because every open house I do, I get 2 nurtures. Why? Because every 2 nurtures leads to 1 appointment. Why? Because every 2 appointments leads to 1 agreement. Why? Because every 2 agreements leads to 1 closing. Why? Because I want to make $150,000 this year. That's why. So prospect for your open house. There are 4 things that I want you to do in order to prospect for your open house. And here's the win, because next week when we talk about prospecting, you're going to say, oh, I circle prospect. Oh, I door knock. Oh, I call my sphere. Oh, I use social media. Why? Because you're doing lead gen model number 2, which is open houses. The beautiful thing is if you do the first one, call your sphere, the second one's going to happen naturally because you're going out and doing open houses. The third one happens as well, which means I've upheld my end of the bargain, my part of the partnership, which means leads are flowing to the team as well. This works brilliantly. So I want you to make a commitment. In order to generate the right number of nurtures from every open house, what am I going to commit to do? I'm going to circle prospect around that open house. I'm going to make 100 calls. Well, I guess I make 100 calls, but I only talk to 2 people. I don't care. Make your 100 calls. It's 2 people. It's 2 people that are now nurtures potentially in your database. So maybe no one shows up to your open house, right? Because there's a football game on, or it was pouring rain, or you only put out 1 sign, or who knows why. But if you did your prospecting in advance of it, you're still going to average out to 2 nurtures every open house. So you're going to circle prospect. Anybody can make 100 calls. I saw a quote. Oh, shoot. Who was it? Was it someone in your world, Amy? I don't remember now, but someone did their 1,000 dial day. And they said, gosh, after 350, things got easy. Like, just make your 100 calls. Second, you're going to door knock. You're going to door knock. Why? Because you're doing an open house. You're driving out there anyway. Like like kill two birds with one stone. I don't like that expression either, by the way. But do two things at once, like door knock around your open house. And the reality is, I don't care if you door knock the day before. I honestly don't care if you door knock the day of, right? So get out there a little earlier and John, get out there a little earlier and door knock around the open house. The third thing you're going to do is reach out to Sphere. And I think we oftentimes miss this. Right? We're always like, what do I call my Sphere about? What do I call my past clients about? I promise you, you have Sphere and past clients that live in neighborhoods in which you do your open houses. What a phenomenal way to let them know you're going to be in the neighborhood. They may not stop by, but it creates a relationship if you let them know, hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. I'd love to see you if you want to stop by my open house. What a phenomenal face-to-face touch. So as you set up your open house, I want you to think about your Sphere as well. And I want you to call them. I want you to email them. I want you to text them. In the moments that your open house are slow, why are we not thinking about all of our Sphere and texting them that, hey, just thought of you, I'm just down the street from you. And then we're going to use social media. And again, Brevity makes that easy with our marketer, right? Let's just set up our open house posts. So again, we're going to prospect. Now, I'm going to get you all these slides, so don't freak out about all this language and writing it down. But the reality is I put together a very simple script for every single one of you. And by put together, it means we've been using these for years. Like, what should you say on the phone when you're calling your circle prospecting? Right? I'm holding an open house in your area, just down the street. I promised your neighbors that I would personally reach out to you and invite you. We know that because you already live in the neighborhood, you probably love it. And you might know someone that wants to live here too. Do you know anyone that might be interested in moving? The reality is then I go one step further if I'm circle prospecting. Now, don't want to come to your open house and don't know anyone moving. Well, we have a lot of interest in this house, and I promised everyone that I would let them know if anything else comes on the market. Have you thought about selling in the future? Like, it's a phenomenal script. You're looking for buyers and looking for sellers. Imagine if you said that a few times every open house. Well, great. What am I going to say if I door knock? Pretty much the same thing. It's all here for you. I'm holding an open house just down the street. I promised your neighbor I would personally invite you. Don't miss that, by the way. Like, sometimes you don't know what to say and why we're there. But if they believe we're doing work on behalf of their neighbor and their neighbor wanted them invited to the open house, they seriously might think twice about coming. The fact is, if they're friendly neighbors, they'll want to do a favor for their neighbor. I say what I call my Sphere. That's pretty simple. Hey, I want to reach out because I'm going to be in your neighborhood this week. I thought we might connect. I'm selling another home just not far from you. I was wondering if you knew anyone looking for a home to in the neighborhood that you love. It's an easy connect to your Sphere. What should you post on social? Anything on Brevity Marketer, right? Like, we have a whole section for your open house posts. Are you using it? Pretty simple. I guarantee you it's done in 3 minutes, if that. It's all part of that model. Did we do the 4 things, right? Did we circle prospect? Did we door knock? Did we reach out to our Sphere? Did we post on social? If we did, we're prospecting, which leads to how we get judged on our performance. How we perform, right? The 2 hours of performance is what we've done all our work for, right? You've script practiced for this, you've trained for this, you've coached for this, you've prepared for this, you broke out your schedule for this. Well, then show up and perform. There are 2 questions that you can use. And we shouldn't use any other question. These are gold, right? The first one is the one that I used for 20 years. The second one is the one that Ben used for 20 years. Here's what's so funny. We were both looking for the same thing. We were looking to find out, are you a buyer or a seller? And I'm going to find out by a question. How do I ask that? Mine is simple. Are you out shopping for a home today, or do you happen to live in the neighborhood? Here's the deal. Like, oh, they're going to answer that. Oh, we're just starting to look. No, we live in the neighborhood. Awesome. I love this neighborhood. What street do you live on? By the way, every question I ask is moving me towards what? Getting them in my database. Because here's the deal. If they tell me what street they live on, all I need to know is their last name, and I'm gonna get it. They're in my house. All I need to know is their last name. And I'm gonna get all their contact information. I'm gonna find out their address. I'm gonna add them in. Why? Because I can look them up. So are you out shopping for a home today, or do you happen to live in the neighborhood? Oh, we're just shopping. Awesome. How have you been getting into houses? I'm not gonna ask them if they have an agent. I'm gonna ask them how they've been getting into houses, right? There's scripts. I can say this in my sleep. Ben used a different question. Hey, by the way, people that come to my open houses are here for one of two reasons. They're either thinking about buying or they're curious about what their home is worth. Which one are you? Like, I know that one like the back of my hand too. What does it do? Here's the deal. I want you to, this is your expectation. Every single person that walks through that door is either one of four types of people. They're an immediate buyer or an immediate seller, and we love those, right? They're going to do something now. That's a lot, by the way. There aren't a lot of immediate anything in this world. There are some, right? An immediate buyer, immediate seller, or they're a future buyer or a future seller. Remember, first agent that they meet, they're hiring. So whether they just started their search and they're a year out, they're 2 years out, they're 7 months out, I don't care if they're going to my database as a nurture. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to close deals, I'm here to nurture, right? That's my expectation of the open house. So are you out shopping for a home today, or you happen to live in the neighborhood? And they're gonna start going through my sales funnel of my questions. Well, what do we say next? If they're out shopping, great. How have you been getting into homes during your search? And then I add something on. Would it be valuable to you if? Right? Oh, I've just been going to open houses. Gosh, would it be valuable to you if I just put together 3 or 4 houses so you can see it all in one time and the ones you want to see as opposed to the ones that are open? Right? Would it be valuable to you if, like, just fill in the blank? Here's why, and here's why we need to use that language. Because, Anne, if I looked you in the eyes and said with great enthusiasm, I said, Anne, would it be valuable to you if I put together a list of 3 or 4 houses that we can go see at one time? No, Chris, it would be completely, and like that would not be of any value. We don't want to say that. Human beings are not that confrontational. And here's the deal, if someone does say that, they're confrontational, you don't want to work with them anyway. But most humans want to move down the path with us. When we believe something's valuable, they want to believe it's valuable too. Look at the next thing. If they're a neighbor, oh great, what street do you live on? You see where I'm going with that. Are you familiar with property values in the immediate area? Yeah, I stay pretty much in touch with it. Awesome. Would you be offended if, fill in the blank, would you be offended if I let you know what this house sold for? Would you be offended if I kept you up to date with everything that sells around on your street? Would you be offended? Now think about that question. Deldy, if I looked you in the eyes and I said, hey Deldy, would you be offended if I emailed you? Yes, Chris, I would be highly offended. Please do not email me. That's so offensive. No one will ever say that. And if they do, you don't want to work with them. So again, these are scripts to move towards what? Adds to your database. And here's the reality. I have a list of questions. You might not be able to see them on the screen. Don't worry. I'm going to send these out to you. But I have this list of questions. I know them in my sleep. I know all these questions. Why? Because questions will lead to one thing, adds to the database. Hey, how have you been getting into homes? What was your name? Anne. Oh, great, Anne. And what was your last name? I don't care about your first, I mean, I do care about your first name, Anne, but the reality is my database doesn't. My database wants your last name. So I will always ask the last name. What neighborhood do you live in, Anne? Would it be of value to you if? Would you be offended if? Oh, okay, what's a good email to send that to, Anne? Well, the minute you answer me and say, yeah, sure, that would be of value. No, I wouldn't be offended. I'm going to email you something. Great, what's a good email to send that to? And here's why I always ask for the email person. This is if they haven't registered. They snuck in, they didn't register, I'm still going to get them. They didn't register, I ask for their email. And then as I'm typing in their email onto my iPad or my phone, I say, if that bounces back, what's a good number that I can text you at? Like, no, please don't. They're committed. They're already giving me their email address, right? So I always ask for email first because we know how many emails bounce back, and I'll make a joke of it. Like half of my emails never get through. So if it doesn't get through to you or it comes back to me, what's a good phone number for you? No, please, I don't want to give it out. Okay, fine. Like at least I got your email address. But that's my series of questions. Would it be helpful to have a flyer with the details of this home? Great, I'm gonna get their phone number. Would it be helpful to have a floor plan of the home? Great, I'm gonna get their phone number. Would you like a quick list of addresses of the other homes that are available and are open today? Great, I'm gonna get their email address. Would you like a quick list of other homes that are available? Great, I'm gonna get their email address. Like, I am only asking them questions to trade value for their contact information. Why? Because I believe in math. I believe in math. I believe that the math adds up, that 2 nurtures lead to 1 appointment, 2 appointments leads to 1 agreement, 2 agreements leads to 1 closing. Done. Post open house, you're not done, by the way, sorry. Like, I didn't mean you're finished, we're not done. This is the third P, maybe the third P, maybe it's the 4th P, I'll add it up in a minute. This is post open house activity, right? You've done your job, I know what you wanna do, you just wanna lock that door, grab your signs, you've only put out 1 anyway, and you wanna go home and sit on the couch. Well, you are not done, and if you finish there, don't come back to me looking for your 150,000. Here's what you need to do, you need to follow up with the people that you gotta call a number from. And here's why, because nobody else does. This is the secret, right? What does the script say? We met earlier today, which means you're not calling them on Monday morning, guys, because that wasn't today, that was yesterday, or that was Saturday. The script says we met earlier today. I don't care if they don't pick up, they probably won't. I'm still leaving a message. Why? Because no other agent that they met, and I promise you, they met other fancy little realtors at their open houses, but none of them are going to call them 3 hours later afterwards to follow up. And listen, if I'm serious about buying a house, I want someone that follows up. I've been working with Ryan and Ryan up in Bellingham to look for a house. And I'll tell you, they follow up. Hey, Chris, is there anything we need to do? Hey, Chris, did you see this? Hey, Chris, do you want to write an offer? Hey, Chris, I love it. I love it. It's no bother. Why? Because I'm serious. I want to buy a house, right? So people appreciate follow-up if they're serious about buying a house. So we met earlier today at the open house. I want to let you know that I did a little digging when I got back to the office, which means what? I'm working for you already. And I found several properties in the neighborhood where we met, which match your criteria. I know the house we saw today wasn't quite right, but I think these few others might have some good potential. Could we get together and see those? Would you like a list of those? Awesome, call me back. And I'm going to follow up. So after my open, what I'm going to do, I'm going to categorize the leads that came into Brivity, because I hope you ran your playbook and you have plenty of leads in your Brivity account right now for open houses on that address, right? Because they filled out the QR code, or you filled it out for them as they came through. I'm going to categorize them. Were they a nurturer? Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? I'm going to call every single one that has a phone number. I'm going to text every single one that has a phone number. I'm going to locate the mailing addresses for the leads that I got their last name for. They lived in the neighborhood, great. They didn't give me their street. I don't care. I'm going to stalk them. I'm going to get the title company to find their address. Right? I'm going to apply the open house campaign for every lead that came in. I'm going to set them up on market reports. You don't know where they live. Maybe they're a buyer. It doesn't matter. Set them on a market report for that specific property. It could change later. Don't worry about it. Market reports are your gold. Like, it is your follow-up. Here's a market report spread. You need one? You got it. I'll send this out later. Right? We'll upload it to the toolkit. Hey, I just sent a market report for the neighborhood that we met in. Are you going to look at open houses again this weekend? Right, this is the week after. I'd love to make it more convenient for you and set the private tour of the 2 homes that just came on the market. Why are we not doing this the week after? You did the work at the open house. So here's the 4 things that you need to do. I told you there's 4 P's. You're going to prepare, you're going to prospect, you're going to perform, and you're going to do your post activity. Now, why are open houses amazing? Every open house lead is a Met. It's a Met. Do we need more Mets? Yeah, every single one of us do. I do, you do, we all do. Everyone is either an immediate buyer or seller, a future buyer or seller. How gold is that? It's the best kind of lead gen you could do. Every single person there. I mean, if they're not an immediate or future buyer, you're not walking through your open house unless they own a house. Right? And they think about selling now or when they die. It doesn't matter. My business is still going to be there. So it's an immediate or future seller. Listen, I love job interviews. right? You get to interview for a job every single week when you do an open house. There are people that are walking through that door. You're interviewing, so show up like you are. You don't interview slouching on the couch or eating the crackers that are on the counter. Like, interview. You establish the law of reciprocity. See, I've done a job to open up that house. I've done the work. I've invited them into that house. There's a law of reciprocity. You've done work, you've provided value, they want to help you too. You're building your database every single open house. Man, I could do 2 hours of lead gen in the office and not get any nurture. I promise you. You do enough open houses, you are going to build your database. And here's the deal. People like to be met where they are. Oh, they're at the open house, you're meeting them, meet them where they are. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time for this. So I've done a little bit more math. If you want to argue with that, I'm here to argue. But here's the deal. Like, how much does preparation take? We made it easy for you. It takes about an hour, right? On a bad day. For all you slowpokes, it's an hour. Prospecting. You're going to prospect before the open house. You're going to call 100 people. You're going to door knock 50. How long does that take, really? I give you 2 hours, right? Like, that's a stretch. Now you're up to 3 hours. Now you're going to perform. You only need to do an open house for 2 hours, but I give you 30 minutes to drive, 30 minutes back. Like, I'll give it to you. 3 hours. You're going to do post activity. How long does it take to categorize some people in Brivity and make a few calls? I'll give you an hour. It's 7 hours on a bad, slow, rainy, sad day. Which means if you're signing up for the $150,000 plan and you're doing 2 open houses a week, it's 14 hours a week. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know what else you're doing if you don't have 14 hours a week to execute one slice of your pie. That's 720 hours a year at 150,000 net income return, $206 an hour. If you don't want this job, look in the paper, find one that pays $206 an hour. They are not there. Not for us, they aren't, right? They're not there. Questions? Any ahas as we look at that lead gen model? Now we're gonna post the recording because I know I went fast. And we're going to post the slides because I know there's scripts in there that all of us need to practice. But anyone want to share their aha around this? Andrea?
Well, first off, you're amazing. This is so great. And I had so many notes on this. And I know my team has been texting in our chat too about this. So this is great. And I think the question is around, we came out of COVID, we couldn't do open houses. And I think everyone has this perception right now of like, oh, I can't do open houses. What would you say to those that maybe are thinking this, that are like, man, I don't really want to do that. It's not for my market. People are still scared of COVID. And I feel like that's still lingering around.
Yeah. I go back to my expectation, Andrea, and I don't disqualify any fear around COVID, but I promise you, there are 2 people out there that are no longer scared. I promise you that listen, I'm in Portland. Like, we're scared to open up our front door, like in Portland. And guess what? People are still showing up to open houses 2.5 years later. They showed up, by the way, all through that. And we were pretty locked down. I know other states have incredible lockdowns as well. But I would say this, if it's illegal, I promise you people will show up. Remember, you don't need 20 people at your open house. You need 2. You need 2 people on average. And here's the deal. Some of it is the process that you go through to do the open, right? You're getting better on your market reports. You're getting better at understanding the data. You're getting better at knowing the inventory around that open, because you better be smart when you get there. You're being better on your circle prospecting. You're being better on your door knocking. You're being better at all those things. So there's no loss, right? So regardless of where we are in the stream of being comfortable or uncomfortable around open houses or public spaces, you're going to be okay. And I got to tell you, everybody here, if you want to use COVID as a reason not to do it, I just kind of call excuse on that. And I'm just gonna call it like it is. Because I know you've been at Disney, because I saw you there. And I know you've been at concerts, because I saw you there. And I know you're going to restaurants, because I see you there. And I know you're out dancing, because I didn't see you there. But I know you're out doing stuff, right? So I think we've kind of exhausted that excuse. Alexis.
Yeah, I really love the how have you been getting into houses? Because I think naturally a lot of scripts are always based around like, do you have a real estate agent? So that was really fire. So thank you for that. And then also calling the same day. I have so many people that are like, oh, we already had that connection. So they count that as a connection. So calling them the same day is awesome. So thanks for that. And just how the whole model works is definitely next level. And I can see definitely the benefit of that. There's a lot of agents that I think shy away from open houses because they don't work. So I guess my question would be 2 open houses a week. And what would you say the consistency, like probably within a 6-month period, pretty consistently to be able to start seeing that ROI?
Yeah, because here's the reality. You know, the reality is we're closing deals this year for open houses we did 2 years ago. But I started this when I needed money bad, guys. Like, I mean, I was in a $300 apartment. I had about $1,000 to my name, and I needed now business, immediate business. And I thought the fastest way is maybe I'll get lucky at an open house. Like, everybody here gets lucky because luck is based on putting yourself in the path of opportunity. Put yourself in the path of opportunity as many times a week as you can. Like, I was doing them 4, 5, 6 times a week. Keep that in mind. So I don't care if you do them 2 times a week, you're still going to get immediate business. You will see business closing within 6 months. Absolutely. I think you'll see business closing within 90 days because remember, you're making cold calls, right? You're door knocking, you're meeting people where they're at. You're gonna see business. I promise you that. Megan.
Yes. So an aha moment for me. Everything that you talked about is just lining up with what I've been doing. I'm a new agent, licensed for about a month now. I currently work a full-time job. So open houses, door knocking are my lead generation that I feel more comfortable with. I do circle prospects. So thank you for just confirming that what I'm doing is on the right path. But just taking it a step further and saying, okay, yes, I can do open houses on Saturday and Sunday, but what other day out the week can I go the extra mile and set up 2 hours out my evening just to kind of generate more traffic? So definitely appreciate that. So yeah, it's gonna push me to take it that further because like you said, I want it now. And granted, you know, I have kids that I have to provide for, and I want results. And I know that it takes time, but I'm also a firm believer in you create those options. So yeah, I definitely appreciate it.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Keep providing for those kids, my friend. It's good motivation, isn't it? Brian.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the COVID comment really quick. My team knows I'm the guy that wears my mask in the office longer than anyone else. I'm probably going back to it as cases rise. And last year I held tons of open houses. I got 200 leads. I just checked in my database from open houses last year, wore my mask all the time. It doesn't really impact the bond that you build with people. If they're not willing to work with you because you're being safe, then you don't want to work with that person. And then the other great thing about it is kind of getting back to legality is Jay Inslee, the governor of the state of Washington, told me as I was getting started in real estate that everyone had to sign into my open house. I needed to have a piece of contact information by proclamation of the governor. I'm so sorry, open house lead, you have to sign in. It's the governor's fault. I apologize. Here you go. And a whole bunch of those people made me money last year.
Yeah, we had some help there with forced registration for sure. Kimberly, we'll get your thought and then we're gonna have to wrap up, guys.
Chris, were you calling on me? Sorry, it cut out.
There you go. Where we getting at?
it broke up when you called my name, so I was like, no one else is speaking. I love this. I think open houses is one of the lead gen levers that we're really only pulling at maybe like 40% as a team. And I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch this. As our market is shifting here, we're seeing like, we're still very short on inventory, but we're going from like 20 offers to maybe 5 offers on some of our properties. And I was just texting my whole team, like, what would it look like if we did open houses at such an extreme level that people were just curious why we were doing so many open houses on a listing? That would get people's attention. So we are definitely going to go back and revisit this strategy for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Inventory has been another reason why we haven't done them. Well, that excuse is going away too real fast for many of us. And the reality, if there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 houses available and 1 or 2 of them are vacant, you have inventory to do these opens. Do not let this become that lead gen strategy that the new people do. It is not. It is the lead gen strategy that gets you consistent business regardless of what market we are in. I promise you that. And if you are the 1 or 2 or 3 few agents in the marketplace that are doing them, I promise future sellers will be knocking on your door because they will be seeing your 8 and 9 and 10 and 15 and 20 signs out every single weekend as our agents are out there and our teams are out there working for their sellers. We're heading into a market again. Remember, this whole month was about increasing our conversion, increasing our activity. We're heading into the market where we need, and I mean that, we need to do this. Our sellers need us to do this for them as well. So make that commitment. Remember, this is the second piece of the pie. And interestingly enough, I think the open house pie, we're able to have multiple pieces of the pie, right? Because we're doing our prospecting piece of the pie while we do our second open house piece of pie. But next week, we're going to dive into the third pillar, which is prospecting. And Ben and I are going to lead that call together. Look forward to seeing everyone there. Thanks for the 2 extra minutes this morning. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for being on. If you need me, you know where I am. Thanks all.